Cranford, a gentle, old-fashioned town where the afternoons move like soft tea steam curling from a silver pot. Listen now, and let your eyelids grow heavy as I tell you the familiar, cozy tale of Cranford, the town of ladies, of small dignities, little sorrows, and deep kindnesses. It is a quiet place held together by knitted hems and careful tea-taking, by patrols of goslings through the morning fog, and by the whisper of green shutters when the wind breathes. Imagine a long, low street of neat houses with white railings and tidy flower beds. Imagine windows with blued glass, and every sill hosting a tiny pot of rosemary or a sprig of lavender. A place where calendar days are attended like faithful servants, and where every small event, an arrival of the post, a new cap at the milliner's, a visiting call at 12 o'clock becomes as momentous as a royal proclamation. Cranford belongs mostly to women, gentlewomen who keep their dignity like a beloved heirloom, and who, every evening before the lamps are lit, draw the curtains as if folding memories away for the night. They have keys of exactness for the little rules by which they live, calling hours between noon and 3, a strict quarter of an hour for each call, and a particular kind of politeness that rarely shows loud laughter, but always shows care. In Cranford, fashions move slowly, if they move at all, and good manners are preservers besides being ornament. You will meet a few of these ladies as the lane unwinds before you, the rectory's 2 daughters, steadfast as lambs in summer, the sisterly duo who manage the town's neat economy, Miss Jenkins, who once walked through life like a small prophetess with a cravat tied to her chin, and her sister Mattie, whose name is Matilda, tender and practical, the woman whose cupboards hold the town's shared memories. Picture, too, the town's quiet drama. Captain Brown, gentle as a sunbeam despite old military stiffness, his family shaped by patience and care, with Miss Jessie cheerful and bright of face, singing out of tune and laughing the sweeter for it. There's Mrs. Jamison, too honorable, imperious, and often asleep in her armchair, Miss Pole, full of questions and curious notes, Miss Betty Barker, who keeps the sharpest stock of caps and ribbons in town. They make up a society where small incidents are measured, considered, and sometimes magnified into lifelong story, such as the day Captain Brown dashed onto a railway line to save a child and lost his life doing it. The sorrow washed the town a different color for a while, deep and tender, because Cranford takes its joys and its griefs alike to heart. And yet, there is nothing our story loves more than to linger on small mercies, the way a whole town turns out in knitters and dish-bearers when illness touches a beloved family, the way Miss Mattie will drop everything to help arrange a cup of arrowroot for a friend, or sit up through the long, low hours tending and soothing while the house breathes and the candles gutter. Let your breath fall in time to the ticking of a clock in the background, and feel the calm that comes with these gentle rhythms. We travel now to an older memory, when times were both softer and a little more brittle, when money was discussed in whispers and the word vulgar hung like a bell over any unnecessary show. Cranford's ladies performed dignity modestly. They wore neat gowns, but if a piece of silk made an appearance, it was measured and disinfected against ostentation. They kept early hours, for their streets were swept and lights were carried on the shoulders of lantern-bearers homewards, and by 10:30, the town lay like a small, sleeping village in a painting. Into that tender fabric of order there came once Captain Brown, a man with a huge voice and a large heart. He had lived by the simpler rules of men in regiments. He had a laugh that rang and a kindness that could not be contained. People at first made of him a curiosity, a man who spoke of poverty plainly and on the public road, but his honesty melted the town's cooler edges. He mended a smoky chimney without fuss. He recommended a flannel waistcoat to a cow who plunged into a lime pit, and he took to heart a people's worries the way the thrush takes to song after rain. In Cranford, kindness always finds a way to be seen. Let your eyes grow soft. Imagine Captain Brown moving gently under the old chapel spire, his coat a little threadbare, his step steady. There is a particular hush to Cranford's griefs and a certain brightness to its humor. People will talk about Mr. Boz's lively tales in dim tones beside their teacups, and others will solemnly extol Dr. Johnson like an altar of letters. Little quarrels flare and are gone, like tea steam on a winter window. They make the day real without breaking it. In that warm balance between careful pride and humble want, the Browns lived quietly, Miss Jessie with her childlike warmth and dimples, and Miss Brown, who carried illness with an uneven temper and deep tenderness at once. Captain Brown loved them with a devotion that became the center of his small life. When a train accident stole him away to the tears of all Cranford, his courage and gentleness left a hush that did not entirely pass. We rest a little now on this memory of grief transfigured. Feel how the town pauses and gathers around like a soft shawl to warm its own. Cranford also knows the ache of love's old returns. Imagine the modest rectory lawn where Miss Mattie, quiet, watchful, the kind of woman who made her life into service and patience, might once have dreamt of a different path. There was Thomas Holbrook, a plain and honest country gentleman, a man who refused to swagger up the social ladder, preferring the dignity of a steady name. The story of the meeting they had after years of separation is a small thing in the world's measure, but in Cranford, it becomes a whole country of feeling, a day when the old heart remembers what might have been, when the past and present glance at one another across the years. Gentle reader, let your muscles relax with the sound of a single teacup lifted and set down. There is a sweetness in these slow domestic rhythms, in the rustle of skirts down a corridor, the clack of knitting needles, the murmur of catechism. and a kindly scolding for a servant girl who is too fond of youthful companions. Little domestic economies thread through the story like gold thread in a tapestry. Miss Mattie, who keeps the household string and measures carefully, hoards little small things, hanks of twine, the empty envelopes that become second-use wrappings and treasures, not least the memory of her sister, Deborah's strong mind and exacting manner. When we lean close into the next scene, we see that Cranford's housewives are tender in surprising ways. A milliner who has laid up a shawl will lend it without a harsh word. Their teacups will be kept until the next party, and their economy is called elegant, though it is gentle necessity, not vanity, that guides each choice. But even in these careful knots of thrift, generosity threads through, sharing a portion of currant jelly for a grateful child, sending early vegetables with a quiet knock at a sick window, or arranging a parcel of lavender to freshen a drawer for a neighbor. On some evenings, Cranford's drawing rooms glow with card tables and plain food. Wine, when offered at all, is of the simplest order. The ladies sit in their best with wafer bread and butter and sponge cake, and the most stirring excitement that visits the evening is a new number of a popular story or a reading aloud. These domestic gatherings move gently, the conversation measured by the clock, cards played with small emphasis, music offered for comfort. If a man wanders into the room sometimes, as Captain Brown did with his forthright laugh, his presence is absorbed and welcomed for what it brings: useful strength, a cheerful answer to a household worry, and a certain liveliness that warms the air. You will feel the ease of such an evening: candles lit at a proper time, a little cough from a dignified listener when a modern book is proposed as worthy beside an older classic, and the little human bickers that follow like sparrows flying up from a dining table. Keep breathing slowly now. In Cranford's history, there are also bright returns and gentle reconciliations. A man long thought lost Peter, the rector's son, full of mischief, and with a boyish love of trickery, went away to distant seas, and rumor took him up and set him down in many places, sometimes as vanished to the sea, sometimes in exotic legend. His absence and the unanswered letters brought a quiet depth of sorrow to his mother's life, and made the house a place of ghosts that were more longing than fear. Many years later, in a tender turn of fortune's wheel, Peter came home, older, richer in stories, with white hair and a festival of tales. The town rejoiced. That homecoming is one of Cranford's sweetest moments. The quiet Sister Mattie, the astonished market, the old kitchen smelled of bread and lavender, and the way every small hand reaches to lend comfort. Cranford's happiness after that is in the small graces: Peter's gentle joke that wakes a laugh at a tea table, the way everyone from the proud to the plain seeks to welcome the returned man, who carries with him not only tales of far places, but also a warmth that makes the local world feel larger. You might picture that evening when the town gathered, children tugging at the skirts. The assembly room hung with red cloth, where a conjurer's light show was to be held, and the signor, with his small marvels and kindly bluster. Yet the true marvel for Cranford is never tricks or wonders, but the way people come together, the honorable lady sitting, by grace and by a small generosity of heart, beside the widow she had once found unsuited to her honor, Miss Mattie, smiling and knitting, offering a bowl of arrowroot to soothe the town's silly fears and deep affections, braided into a single human thread. Let the night grow full around you like a shawl. Think of Miss Mattie arranging her little shop of teas, the tins shining, the labels handwritten, the little glass tumblers with boiled sweets sitting like tiny promises. Know the comfort in a small life made steady by ritual, the ringing of a bell for noon, the neat turning out of a cupboard, the careful folding of a white apron. Cranford's gentleness is a slow, faithful thing. If some nights seem dark and uncertain, when robberies are feared, and strange rumors flutter like white butterflies in the lanes, the town's answer is always the same. People gather, they count their locks, they light their candles, and they do small, brave things. Mothers keep children close, a working man watches his door, and neighbors share their supper. Fear yields to the soft constancy of community. As you feel your body relax and the muscles of your face unknit, imagine the lanes of Cranford at dusk. The lamps are lighted. Small figures move under the eaves. A cat slips along the garden wall. An old carriage rattles off toward the inn, and the parish church bell rings once more. Here and there, a window faces the street with a warm oval of light, within which a woman breathes and knits, and hums a tune to herself. This is the spirit of Cranford, things of decorum and dignity, softened by warmth and forgivingness, a place where manners are a kind of virtue, and kindness is the law. If you lift your heart to it, you will be soothed by the town's steady rhythms, the gentle people who read aloud and mend their stockings, who never fail to be there when a neighbor has fallen ill. They have many small quarrels and merry tiffs, but they forgive quickly. They support each other when money fails, when sadness comes, when a train runs wild and takes a life. They gather round with a tray of stew, a knitted cap, a hand a little timid but steady. Imagine now the final evening in our tale. The sun falls soft behind the hills, and in Cranford every door is latched. In the drawing room a lamp is set low, the cards are put away. Miss Mattie sits in a chair that has been her friend for years, knitting a small ribbon, while by the window Mr. Peter, now settled, quietly at peace, speaks of far cliffs and stars that seemed close enough to touch. Out in the street, the children, flushed with play, are herded home by watchful maids. You feel the slow calm of things that endure. There is a kind of music in the commonplace, the creak of the gate, the sniffed scent of lavender, the whisper of teaspoons at 6. Cranford is a place where sleep comes like a benediction, mild and uncompromising, and everybody tries to be better for the next morning. Now let your breath slow and lengthen. Picture a small cup of tea, just cooled, set on a saucer, steam no longer rising. Picture a night tidy and settled, the shutters fastened, the soft hush of the beds, the soft snore of a dog, perhaps the memory of Carlo tucked away. Cranford's day has done its work. Terry and trouble have been seen to, kindness has been offered, and comfort given. In that gentle hush, Mother Night spreads her stars like a shawl across the town. Let the peace of Cranford settle in your limbs. Let your hands rest, your shoulders ease, and your thoughts become as soft and as careful as the ladies who keep the town. If you dream tonight, let it be of neat tea trays and warm tiled hearths, of friendships that do not require splendid proofs, but simple deeds. A loaf left at a door, a knitted cap sent for winter, a bedside held through the long hours. Sleep now slowly, steadily like the town under its sky. Cranford holds you safe as it holds its own. Peace to Cranford, peace to every small kindness that brightens the world. Rest. Edges.